Michael. Michael is the only angel in the Protestant Bible explicitly called the Archangel. That title appears in Jude 1:9, where Michael disputes with the devil over the body of Moses. This single verse is important because it gives Michael a unique rank among angels in the biblical text itself. Michael also appears in the book of Daniel. In Daniel 10 through 12, he is described as a spiritual prince and the protector of Israel. The language suggests cosmic conflict, spiritual beings influencing earthly kingdoms. Michael stands as a defender in that unseen battle. In Revelation 12, Michael leads the armies of heaven against the dragon, identified as Satan. He defeats the dragon and casts him down. This scene portrays Michael as a warrior figure within apocalyptic imagery. All of these references come from the canonical Bible: Daniel in the Old Testament, Jude in the New Testament, and Revelation in apocalyptic literature. Because of this, Michael is recognized across Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant traditions as an archangel.
Gabriel. Gabriel appears in the canonical Bible, but unlike Michael, he is never directly called Archangel in the Protestant text. Even so, Christian tradition widely recognizes him as one because of the authority and prominence of his role. In the Old Testament, Gabriel appears in Daniel 8 and 9. He is sent to interpret complex prophetic visions given to Daniel. His task is not combat, but explanation. He clarifies symbolic imagery and provides insight into future events. This establishes him as a messenger and interpreter of divine revelation. In the New Testament, Gabriel appears in Luke 1. He announces the birth of John the Baptist to Zechariah and later announces the birth of Jesus to Mary. In both cases, he delivers direct messages from God, reinforcing his identity as a heavenly messenger. All of Gabriel's appearances come from the canonical Bible, Daniel in the Old Testament and Luke in the New Testament. Though the Bible does not explicitly call him an archangel, Catholic, Orthodox, and most Christian traditions consistently identify him as one due to his authority and mission.
Raphael. Raphael does not appear in the Protestant canon, but is found in the Book of Tobit, which is part of the Deuterocanonical books. These books are included in Catholic and Eastern Orthodox Bibles, but not in most Protestant editions. Because of this, Raphael's status depends largely on denominational tradition. In Tobit, Raphael travels in human form under the name Azariah. He guides Tobias, the son of Tobit, on a journey. During this journey, he provides protection, instruction, and healing. He also helps drive away a demon that had been tormenting Sarah, allowing her to marry safely. Near the end of the book, Raphael reveals his identity. In Tobit 12:15, he states that he is one of the 7 angels who stand before God. This statement is one of the foundations for the tradition of 7 archangels. All information about Raphael comes from the Book of Tobit. In Catholic and Orthodox Christianity, he is officially recognized as an archangel. In Protestant traditions, he is not considered part of the biblical canon.
Uriel. Uriel does not appear in the canonical Protestant Bible. His primary source is the book of 1st Enoch, a Jewish work from the Second Temple period. While 1st Enoch is not included in most Christian Bibles, it was influential in early Jewish thought and is considered canonical in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. In 1st Enoch, Uriel is described as one of the 7 archangels. He is often associated with wisdom, divine light, and the revelation of hidden knowledge. In several passages, Uriel explains cosmic mysteries to Enoch, including details about the movements of heavenly bodies and divine judgment. Because of these roles, Uriel is often viewed as an angel of insight and understanding. Later Christian tradition, especially within some Orthodox communities, continues to recognize him among the archangels. However, it is important to note that Uriel is not named in the canonical Old or New Testament. His identity and role come entirely from 1st Enoch and later theological tradition. Acceptance of Uriel as an archangel depends on which religious canon or tradition is being followed. Raguel. Raguel does not appear in the canonical Old or New Testament. His primary source is the Book of 1st Enoch, part of Second Temple Jewish literature. Like Uriel, Raguel's role and identity come from extra-biblical texts rather than the Protestant canon. In 1st Enoch, Raguel is described as an angel associated with justice and accountability. He is tasked with overseeing other angels and ensuring that divine order is maintained. In particular, he is connected with the punishment of rebellious angels who violated God's commands. This places him within the broader narrative of angelic rebellion described in Enoch.
Raguel's name is often interpreted to mean friend of God, which reinforces his role as a faithful enforcer of divine authority. His function is not primarily as a messenger or warrior, but as a supervisor within the heavenly hierarchy. All information about Raguel comes from 1st Enoch and related Jewish traditions. He is not named in the canonical Bible. Recognition of Raguel as an archangel depends on acceptance of Enochic literature and later theological developments.
Sariel, sometimes called Cyril in various traditions, does not appear in the canonical Bible. His primary source is the book of 1st Enoch, where he is listed among the archangels. Like other figures from Enochic literature, his recognition depends on acceptance of that text within a particular religious tradition. In 1st Enoch, Sariel is associated with guidance and instruction. He is portrayed as a heavenly teacher who reveals knowledge to humanity. In some passages, he is connected with the regulation of celestial bodies and divine order, similar to the roles described for other Enochic archangels. Sariel's function is not presented as military or combative. Instead, he appears within a framework of divine administration, where specific angels are assigned oversight of different aspects of creation and judgment. All information about Sariel comes from 1st Enoch and related Jewish writings from the Second Temple period. He is not named in the Old or New Testament. His status as an archangel is recognized primarily in traditions that accept or reference Enochic literature.
Ramiel does not appear in the canonical Old or New Testament. His primary source is the book of 1st Enoch, where he is included among the archangels. As with other figures from this text, recognition of Ramiel depends on whether a tradition accepts or references Enochic literature. In 1st Enoch, Ramiel is associated with hope and resurrection. He is described as overseeing the souls of the righteous who await final judgment. This places him within the broader apocalyptic themes of the book, which focus on divine justice, punishment of the wicked, and restoration of the faithful. Ramiel's role is not centered on delivering messages or leading heavenly armies. Instead, he is connected with the administration of the afterlife and the assurance that God's justice will ultimately prevail. His function reflects the developing Jewish understanding of resurrection and final judgment during the Second Temple period. All references to Ramiel come from extra-biblical Jewish texts, particularly 1st Enoch. He is not named in the canonical Bible, and his recognition as an archangel varies by tradition.
Chamuel does not appear in the canonical Old or New Testament, nor is he found in the book of 1st Enoch. His name and role come from later Christian mystical and devotional traditions. Because of this, Chamuel's recognition as an archangel depends entirely on post-biblical angelology rather than scriptural texts. In later tradition, Chamuel is often associated with love, peace, and comfort. He is sometimes described as an angel who helps restore relationships or bring inner calm. These roles are devotional in nature and are not tied to specific biblical narratives. Unlike Michael, Gabriel, or Raphael, there are no scriptural passages that describe Chamuel's actions or rank. His identity developed through theological reflection, mystical writings, and later systems that expanded the list of archangels beyond those named in earlier texts. All information about Chamuel comes from later Christian mystical traditions rather than canonical scripture. He is primarily recognized within certain strands of Catholic mysticism and later angelological systems, but he is not part of the biblical canon in Protestant, Catholic, or Orthodox scripture.
Jophiel does not appear in the canonical Old or New Testament, and he is not named in the book of 1st Enoch. His identity comes from later Jewish and Christian mystical traditions. As a result, his recognition as an archangel is based on theological development rather than direct scriptural reference. In later writings, Jophiel is commonly associated with wisdom, understanding, and divine beauty. Some traditions describe him as an angel who helps illuminate the mind or bring clarity of thought. These descriptions are devotional and symbolic, rather than drawn from specific biblical events. Jophiel's name is often interpreted to mean beauty of God or God's beauty. This interpretation supports the traditional view of him as connected with enlightenment and appreciation of divine truth. However, these associations are not rooted in canonical scripture. All information about Jophiel comes from later mystical systems and angelological traditions. He is not mentioned in the Bible. His status as an archangel varies depending on theological perspective and denominational acceptance of post-biblical angel traditions.
Zadkiel
Zadkiel does not appear in the canonical Old or New Testament, and he is not named in the book of 1 Enoch. His identity comes from later Jewish tradition and mystical writings. Because of this, his recognition as an archangel depends entirely on post-biblical theological development. In later tradition, Zadkiel is commonly associated with mercy and forgiveness. Some traditions link him to the angel who stopped Abraham from sacrificing Isaac in Genesis 22. However, the Genesis account itself does not name the angel involved. The identification of that angel as Zadkiel comes from later interpretive tradition, not from the biblical text. Zadkiel's name is often interpreted to mean righteousness of God or justice of God, reinforcing his connection with divine mercy and compassion. These attributes developed within mystical and angelological systems that expanded the hierarchy of angels beyond those named in Scripture. All information about Zadkiel comes from later Jewish and Christian mystical traditions. He is not mentioned in the canonical Bible, and recognition of him as an archangel varies depending on religious tradition.
Were you enjoyed this video about the archangels in the Bible? Please check out this video next.